comment, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification. Yeah, I'm a little late this afternoon. Busy week. Busy month already. It's day what? The 3rd of the month. So, had to go live late, but it's all good. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. We're going to get into what's next. What's next? What happened? A lot of stuff happened inside the court, outside the court. People were talking about that. People were speaking about what they saw, what they heard. There was a lot of drama inside the courtroom, outside the courtroom. Certain people were going back and forth with people. Some of it were YouTubers, bloggers, however you want to call it. But it was definitely a situationship. So well wishes to everyone, that everyone's safe and got out of it if situations became bad. We don't wish that on anybody. Some people were called out. Should they have been called out? I don't know. But the biggest thing is we saw a lot, we heard a lot, and there was a lot going on in regards to people being in line, people paying people to sit there for them, and then still some people were trying to sneak up in front of those people that pay people to stay in line. And even if those people were in line and didn't pay line sitters, they were still trying to get in front of people. So it was an issue. And if people are sitting outside for 3-4 hours and then the line starts moving to go into court, you don't want 3 or 4 people to get in front of you if you already been standing in line for your line spot. So there was a lot. I covered some stuff that was transpiring. Some people were saying some big names of YouTubers were looked at like, if you felt unsafe, maybe you should have went home. If you felt that there was a situation, maybe you should have went home. You got to realize this is people's days today. Some people need content just to get clicks and views. Some people really had issues outside. They did. Let's get through the disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. You know, we had talked about who some of our favorites were. There was a lot of people that covered it, and no matter how you feel about certain people, it is what it is. They spent a lot of times covering the stories, getting the tea, and sitting in court for hours, sitting outside for hours, waiting for them to deliberate, you know, for maybe an hour or two, having short lunch breaks, having people follow them, trying to get on their lives. At times, music was playing in the background of people's lives. Y'all know what that means. Demonetization if there's music playing in the background. So a lot of people dealt with a lot outside of. And that's why I get it. I get why larger medias were tended outside. That way they could still get the shot, see what's going on, and not be a part of the rumblings. And then that feed of the day-to-day conversation being a part of their feed. The noise of the traffic kind of kept them distant because they were across the street. So I get why larger media was across the street. We get it. And then some of the media was inside the lines too. So it just depends on where your media boss wanted you. Across the street, in the middle, right by in front of the courthouse. It just depends. Some people really got along the first few weeks. Some people had issues. Some people were like, you know, I don't know why they're acting like this. I don't know why they're almost bumping into me. I didn't do anything. But, you know, check yourself before you really wreck yourself. You know, so there was a lot inside, outside. When the verdict was read, people were kind of like, you know, they didn't expect that verdict to be the way it was. Many people thought that there was a problem in regards to the racketeering. And many people called out the feds of who should have hit the stand, how things were addressed, them focusing on oil, them focusing on that stuff. A lot of people were saying, shouldn't we be more so focused on what was retrieved in the house? Assistants, drivers, chefs. Why is he sitting there in this trial by himself? So people, hi, thanks for being here. I love flowers and hearts. So if you want to put flowers and hearts in the chat, then you're more than welcome. But there's a lot that happened. I can't call it. I wasn't a juror. I don't know if I could have been a juror. Baby, what those people went through, sitting there, deliberations, hearing different stuff about the relations of others concerning situations, about what's happening to people's daughters, the FOs, the text messages. Well wishes to the jurors that had to sit there and listen to that. And like I said, the jury made a decision. It was up to them, and the decision was made. So now, what's next? What's next? What's going to transpire? Hello. Thanks for being here, everyone. He was guilty of 2 charges versus all 5. Many people thought that there would be a racketeering issue, and it might have been that everyone's saying, if you would have brought this one on the stand, that might have been cleared up. If you would have brought this one on the stand, maybe that would have been cleared up. Who knows? But do you feel that some people are like, oh, he beat the feds? Well, he still has 2 charges, and we're going to see how that all unravels. You know what I'm saying? But they did not give him life. So we're going to get to these clips. I appreciate you all for being here. I hope everyone's having an amazing day. I hope and I pray. Very busy day for me, but I am here. And then we're going to get to the clips. So thanks for being here, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for being here. Let's get to what's being talked about Diddy.
Guilty to all counts, sparing him of the death penalty. Why? What comes next for Brian Koberger? And the House races to pass President Trump's mega bill, despite...
Hold on.
If the judge rules in his favor, all day the defense and the prosecution, they put together their cases for and against his release. Prosecutors say that he is a flight risk. They say that he is a danger and that he should be held until his sentencing. But the defense is saying it's inappropriate to hold him. They say that he needs and wants to go home to his family. And they brought up several reasons for that, including the fact that his mother, Janice Combs, who we've seen in court here almost every day of this trial, she is 85 years old. She lives near him in Florida. She wants him to be her caretaker, apparently. He also has children, they say, including a 3-year-old that he needs to take care of. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Again, it's going to get started any moment now, Alex.
Well, and Rita, we were just looking behind you. There's that black Sprinter van. We've seen the family of Diddy get out of a similar Sprinter van. I don't know if that's the same vehicle, but look, I mean, if he is released today, how would that work?
So there are a couple of different options that we could see play out if he is released. And again, that's a big if. We have to see how the judge rules, how he weighs the different arguments here. Like I mentioned, we could see him walk right out of those golden doors here at the federal courthouse in Manhattan, where we have, at this point, dozens and dozens of reporters. And
let's move forward.
Minimum of 15 years or up to life, being that there's a change in circumstance and that a jury of his peers has found
play out if he is released. And again, we are standing by and waiting to see how this all unfolds.
All right, Rena, thank you for that. And for more on this verdict, I want to bring in ABC News legal contributor and criminal defense attorney Bernardo Villalona, along with ABC News contributor and senior entertainment reporter for ESPN's Anscape, Kelly Carter. And Bernardo, I want to start with you. Walk us through the process of a bail hearing.
Yeah, so in terms of what the judge has to decide, the judge has to see whether the defense, by clear and convincing evidence, can prove to this judge that Sean Combs is not a flight risk and that he doesn't pose a danger to any particular person or to the community. Of course, what the prosecution is arguing, that there has been a change in circumstance in the sense that it's no longer alleged that he committed transportation to engage in prostitution, but a jury of his peer has convicted him of that. So that is a change in circumstance. But you also have that competing narrative from the defense that says, look, you held him in custody pending trial based on the highest charge of racketeering, of RICO conspiracy, and sex trafficking by force, which carried a mandatory minimum of 15 years or up to life. Being that there's a change in circumstance and that a jury of his peers has found him not guilty of those highest charges, that he should be released, especially when you take into account that there is no mandatory minimum of a sentence of having to deal with the transportation to engage in prostitution. There's also competing narrative in terms of what is the criminal guidelines, the guideline sentence as as to what Sean Combs is facing. The defense is saying that the guidelines is 21 to 27 months. We know that Sean Combs has only been in custody since September, so I believe it's only 10 months that he's been in custody. The prosecution is saying that the guidelines is recommending 51 to 63 months incarceration. Of course, all the time that he served, he'll get credit for that. But now you have something else that has been poured into the mix, in the sense that Doug Wigdor, the attorney for Cassie Ventura, submitted a letter to this judge and saying that if you release Sean Combs, he is going to be a threat to the safety of Cassie Ventura and that he should remain in custody pending sentence. We can get some insight as to where the judge is leaning in terms of a sentence if he chooses to keep Sean Combs in custody, because in his mind, he may be saying, like, look, you're going to do more than 10 months, so let's keep you in custody because that's where I'm leaning. He's not going to say that on the record, but that is something to glean.
Well, and Kelly, you can't talk about hip-hop without mentioning Diddy. Right? And so I'm curious, after this verdict, how is the hip-hop community reacting to this?
Yeah, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The silence has been incredibly loud since Cassie first released.
Like the video, like the video. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for tuning into Let's Talk About It Media 21. Please subscribe to the page. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
A really explosive civil suit in 2023. And I feel like what we probably saw primarily happening is that people were really taking a wait-and-see attitude. They wanted to see what happened with this case. But I think because of the testimony that we've heard and because of that 2016 footage from the Intercontinental Hotel incident, it's going to be really difficult for people who have a very similar platform, who have amplified platforms like Sean Combs, to speak in support of him, which is probably why we've heard silence for the most part. We have heard from a few people, 50 Cent, who has been one of the only people who has been talking throughout the entirety of this case, making a comment. We've heard from Rosie O'Donnell, we've heard from Kesha, but it's been really silent, I think, in the aftermath of this. We've only kind of seen what the public has said, and the court of public opinion is really mixed right now.
Well, and Bernarda, as his defense team petitions for his release on bond, we've heard the mentioning of his mother, his 85-year-old mother, who wants him to be her caretaker. We've heard the mention of a 3-year-old child. How does that play in the judge's calculations here?
So interestingly enough, those factors right there are going to be taken into account when it comes to sentencing, but not specifically given much weight when it comes to detention awaiting sentencing. So yes, the judge will listen to what the defense has to say, but it's not going to be heavily determined on being the caretaker for his mother as well as for that 3-year-old child, because in the end, the judge has to take into account his risk of flight, but also protecting the public. Is he a danger to public safety or to any other victims? He has to take into account the public good when making this determination as to whether he should be released pending sentence. Again, he's been convicted now, so that sentence that he's going to face ultimately carries much more weight than releasing him pending sentence.
Well, and Kelly, listen, now that a potential life sentence is essentially taken off the table, there will be a day, presumably, where Diddy will be free and out and about in the public as well. And so I'm curious, given his career and also given this trial.
Yes, and don't forget, his bail was denied. We're just talking about what's transpiring, what's to come after the verdict. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
And what does this mean for his legacy? Is there room for him to reemerge in the industry?
So much remains to be seen. I mean, we have seen him rehabilitate himself and remix, to kind of use a word that is synonymous with the work that he's done himself over the years. I don't know that would necessarily apply here. I personally don't see him necessarily returning to the industry that he left, and most certainly I don't see him returning to it in the way that he had before. Remember, he was kind of this unofficial king of like the Met Gala, just the biggest and best and boldest kind of events across all industries. I don't see him returning to that life again in the aftermath of this trial and of these two guilty verdicts.
Well, and the other thing that strikes me, I'm curious because, as they're considering his sentencing here, they've said that he has no criminal record, but this isn't Diddy's first run-in with the law, right? I mean, there was that 1999 alleged incident with Steve Stout, another one alleged incident in 2015 at UCLA involving a kettlebell. Everyone remembers, and he wasn't charged in this, but there was certainly the high-profile incident that night. Him and J-Lo were at a nightclub, and there was a shooting.
Facts.
But what's different about where we are right now as a society, and also what's different specifically about this case?
well, I mean, I think that we've learned so much. We put language to things that we probably didn't have language to back in 1999 when it comes to talking about, sexual assault of women. And so I think that has happened. I think we're far more educated about that now. But I think when this case in particular, this is the first time we've gotten these really intimate details, lots and lots of details about his personal life that we would have never guessed, were happening. And I think that is probably going to live in people's minds for a number of years, and ultimately will play a role in how we view Sean Combs, his legacy, and also his ability to work past whatever the incarceration might look like for these charges.
We were just told by our team that Sean Combs has walked into that courthouse there in Lower Manhattan. He greeted supporters. He was smiling. But Bernardo, as we wait for these proceedings to get underway, this verdict doesn't mean that he is out of the legal woods just yet, right? I mean, he's still on the hook for those civil suits.
Yeah, so while he's out of the woods criminal-wise, he still has those civil lawsuits. However, it's important to know when you're talking about civil lawsuits, you're talking about money. So he's out of the woods in the sense of that his liberty is no longer at stake. Probably his financial status is at stake, but not his liberty. Also important to remember that when we're talking about those civil lawsuits, while he may have escaped criminal liability, the burden of proof is completely different when it comes to civil lawsuits. It's by preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not, 51% to 49% of whether he's liable on those counts that the lawsuit is based on, as opposed to in the criminal world, it was beyond a reasonable doubt. So we may likely see a different outcome on those lawsuits, but hey, he's ready for war. He beat the war in terms of this criminal case, and that was most important.
Well, and Bernardo, given your expertise, I mean, it seemed like as a defendant, he was really prepped to be found guilty on something, right? Because, hearing the three most severe charges, those not guilty verdicts coming down, you see his reaction. You see him thanking the jury. You see him with that message to his family, "I'm coming home, baby," and then appearing to bow and pray as the jury is out of there. And so I'm curious, from a defense stance, how was he prepped? How was he likely prepped going into this second day of a verdict?
Subscribe, please, and like the video, please, and thank you.
So his defense team, and remember, we're dealing with more than one attorney. You're dealing with about 6 attorneys that has been on his side and have been on his side, especially Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos have been on his side since day one. And they've been in constant contact, seeing him, talking to him since the first day and preparing him for this day to face this verdict and giving him ammunition to be like, keep your head up, that we're going to fight with you. We are with you. We're going to do our best. If something were to happen and you were to be found guilty, we prepared this record for appeal. So we'll take it up to a higher court to appeal the conviction. So they prepared him either way it was going to turn out and kept his hopes high from the very beginning.
Well, and Kelly, I'm curious because you have great context here, especially whenever it comes to music and entertainment and in the world of hip hop. How would you equate this? I mean, is this a similar fall from grace as a Russell Simmons? Where does this chart?
I would venture to say this is far bigger, for a number of reasons. And I think to start, you have to acknowledge that Sean Combs truly is a cultural icon. 30 years in the making, he has been a presence in not only hip hop, but he expanded hip hop, not just for himself, but for the entirety of the business. He helped to, turn this into a multi-billion-dollar business. He helped to commercialize hip hop. And he also took hip hop outside of the community into spaces that the genre never imagined it to go to, from politics, which was very huge. The Vote or Die campaign was very significant, and he was leading the charge for that. You have the world of spirits. Forbes 500, list was something that I don't think anyone in hip hop ever aspired to do before, Sean Combs really kind of laid it out that something like that was possible. So this is absolutely significant because he really has been a representation, not only for hip hop, but also for Black excellence, and for his story to kind of be where it is right now, I think is colossal. And it's something that we now have to have part of the conversation when we talk about all the things that he's done.
Yeah, it is actually pretty remarkable because when you talk about the stance of his career from music and then kind of transitioning into fashion, and then I think in later years, most folks have kind of.
There's about 343 in the building. Please subscribe and hit the like button. And thank you.
Come to know him through his promotion of Ciroc. You certainly have seen other rappers and entertainers who have gotten into the spirit industry, which has boomed since then, and he was kind of like the originator there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he, the thing about Sean is that he is an incredible marketer, and I think he really showed other people, both contemporaries and people coming up behind him, how to really take advantage and how to market, the product of themselves, because he was a master, at doing that, is a master at doing that. And I think he really showed a lot of people behind him and also people who were standing alongside him how to really do that and how to function in this world of, high industry.
Sure, and we just got word that the judge has taken the bench, so we're expecting these proceedings to get underway momentarily. But Bernarda, if I may, just
So of course he made a verdict.
Did it surprise you?
I am not surprised that this judge denied Sean Combs' release pending sentencing. You have to think that this judge is in a different position than when he first heard the bail application when Sean Combs was first arrested, because this judge has sat throughout the entire trial and has heard all the evidence that was submitted before this jury and evidence that was not submitted before this jury. So he has such a huge insight as to who Sean Combs is. Also taking into account that he knows what the guidelines are. And those guidelines, even if you take it from the perspective of the defense of 21 to 27 months, or you take it from the prosecution, whether it's over 50-something months, he's going to sentence him at least within those guidelines and not the 10 months that he's already served.
I just saw Aaron Katursky walk out of the courtroom, our chief investigative correspondent. Kelly Carter, your initial reactions to hearing that the bail has been denied for Diddy?
I also am not surprised, too. I mean, one thing we haven't talked about is, in large part at least, are the people who wrote letters to the judge.
There's about 557 in the building. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Please subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21.
Before he took the bench, imploring him to keep Sean in custody. Not only Cassie, but also Deontay, who is the fashion stylist that was hired by Sean Combs and Cassie, and who testified in here, imploring and asking for him not to release him out of custody. And I don't know if those letters, bared, any weight on the judge's decision, but my initial reaction is they may have very well done that. Exactly.
And I mean, you think about Cassie's testimony in particular, many have said that she was the prosecution's star witness in this case, and certainly the one that the public was most familiar with as that tape that leaked from that alleged assault that took place in that hotel leaked out. But when you talk about like her testimony and her process through this,
I have no.
Actually, Kelly, stick with me for just a second. I want to swing this to Rena Roy, who is outside the courthouse there in Lower Manhattan as this news has been trickling out. Rena, what can you tell us more about the judge's decision here?
Well, Alex, we are getting some information in real time from our teams inside the courthouse at this hour. We're told that almost immediately after the judge took the bench, he announced that the bail was denied. Now, keep in mind, this was just a couple of hours after we saw Combs celebrating in the courtroom, looking at his family, saying that he was coming home. He said, "I'm coming home, baby. I'm coming home." But it looks like that is not the case at this hour. Now, as this hearing got underway, though, we are told that Combs had a big smile on his face. He was hugging his defense attorneys, and prosecutors, they were also smiling. So it seems like overall, pretty joyous. Of course, the mood probably switched as soon as this news came in from the judge. Prosecutors argued that this is a violent man who should not be released. And Cassie Ventura, the star witness for the prosecution, her lawyer said that she felt that he posed a danger if he were to be released. The defense, however, argued that it would be inappropriate to hold him, saying that he needs to be home with his family, Alex.
Well, yeah, that letter from Cassie, I read it. It was very, very powerful. But, Diddy is a man that has means and certainly access. He has a plan. I know that it's his defense has said that he has a family and that the consequences of him fleeing would be greater than the time that he's likely to serve here. I'm curious, Rena, has the crowd there behind you started to react to this news?
Well, I think everybody was waiting for this news to come out, and as it did, we heard a few cheers there. It looks like people are waiting for his family to come out once again as well. They have been waiting all day, watching them go in and out of the courthouse. You can see that the barricades there are just full of media, bloggers, reporters, and onlookers. There are people here that are very interested in seeing how this would all unfold. Of course, we just learned a few minutes ago that this bail has been denied. Combs will be held until his sentencing date, which we are still waiting to hear when that will be.
Yeah, and obviously the situation is developing, but we're getting more notes from inside that courtroom. Our team telling us that Combs looked to both of his lawyers as the judge read the decision. His head was largely down, though he was occasionally whispering to one of his attorneys. The district judge there said that detention is required based on Combs' conviction. He did not hear any arguments from the lawyers, and he had been as he read his decision from the bench there. But I want to go back to Kelly Carter, who I believe is still with us.
Yeah, bail was denied, and he may have a bail hearing in October, but I think his attorney has asked for that to be moved up. Bail was denied.
Actually, before that, we're going to go to a special
Everyone's
report
heard that, though.
This is an ABC News special report.
I'm with Johnson in New York. We're coming on the air right now because the federal judge in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has just denied bail for Combs hours after a split verdict in the racketeering and sex trafficking case against him on the third day of deliberations. The jury finding Combs not guilty on 3 of 5 counts, acquitting him of the most serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Combs guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Each count carries a maximum of up to 10 years behind bars. The verdict considered a huge win for Combs, who is facing the possibility of life in prison. He's been behind bars since his arrest in September. Let's get right to ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. And Aaron, we know that the defense was hoping that Combs would be able to leave the courtroom and go back to his family today. And earlier, he even said to his family there that I'm coming home. But it turns out that that is not the case. What are you learning from what happened in this hearing late today?
Sean Combs entered court just a moment ago looking upbeat. He greeted his family, who crammed into the gallery, all in one bench, his mother, sons, twin daughters. And I think he was anticipating that he would be released following the mixed verdict, especially the acquittal on all of the violent crimes. But the judge immediately sat down at the bench, started reading his decision, saying bail is denied. He would not be released prior to sentencing because the judge said his incarceration is required based on what he was convicted of, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. The judge said the defense did not make any successful arguments to say that that expectation should be overridden.
All right, Aaron Katursky, thank you. Stand by for us a moment. You're taking a look at some of these live images from our WABC New York chopper camera here. You can see the crowd gathering outside the courthouse. A lot of people were hoping, people who were waiting there outside the courtroom, to be able to get a glimpse of Sean Diddy Combs as he was released. But again, that news coming down that he will not be released on bail for now. Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Villalona. And Bernarda, we know that this case was not technically about domestic violence. At least those were not the charges against Combs. But of course, there was that now infamous video from the hotel surveillance that showed him physically assaulting Cassie Ventura. Is it possible that any of that evidence came down to what the judge was considering in terms of his release back to the public on bail?
100%, absolutely. You have to think that this judge is in a unique position that he heard all of the testimony, all of the evidence that was provided through this 7-week trial. He also knows of evidence that wasn't submitted before this jury. So he took into account what he actually heard. He took into account that it's no longer that Sean Combs is accused of transportation to engage in prostitution, but now that he has been convicted by a jury of his peers. He took into account that his ability to flee and not return for sentencing, as well as that he's a danger to the community and also to victims. Remember that Cassie Ventura's attorney, Doug Wigdor, submitted a letter to this court requesting that Sean Combs remains in custody because he is a...
There's about almost 1,000 in the building. Please subscribe to the page. 944 in the building. Please subscribe to the page. Help me get to 40K. Help me get to 40K. If all 944 subscribe, we should hit 40K. And please hit the like button, you guys. Let's get the likes to 500. Please double tap the screen if you're watching from a phone. Please double tap the screen. And thank you.
Danger to society. So taking all of that into account, in addition to what his potential sentence would be, does give us a cue into what he will actually sentence him to. While it's a mandatory of 10 years on each of these counts, there is a sentencing crime guidelines, and the prosecution is claiming that it's about 51 months to 63 months, while the defense is saying 21 months to 27 months, and Sean Combs has only been in custody for 10 months.
Bernarda, thank you. We are just getting this information from the U.S. District Judge here, citing Combs' domestic violence as part of that justification for his continued detention. He called it a propensity for violence. This is also a quote here, the judge saying it is impossible for the defendant to demonstrate that he poses no danger to the community. Again, that as part of this decision not to grant him bail, to deny bail to Sean Diddy Combs. I want to go to our ABC News legal contributor, Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, you've been watching this case very closely. You've been inside the courtroom at times. So now that bail has been denied, Brian, what are the next steps?
So the next steps will be sentencing. And
okay, next steps, you guys.
The sentencing date is, and we're waiting to hear what that is. Sean Combs will be visited by someone from the probation department, and they'll interview him, speak with Sean Combs, family members, anyone else that they may be directed to, and they'll create what's called a PSI, or pre-sentencing investigation. So that information will be given to both the attorneys as well as the judge, and will help guide them in terms of a sentencing. Now, Bernarda had pointed out the sentencing guidelines that both parties have put forward. The defense saying that the sentence should be anywhere from 21 to 27 months. The government saying anywhere from 51 to 63 months, but that PSI will provide what they believe the sentencing guidelines will be, and then either side will try to argue, come sentencing, that there are either aggravating circumstances, the government will oppose those, to go higher, or mitigating circumstances to go lower, and that's where we'll find a sentence, and of course the potential of what's called victim impact statements, people who will testify or give testimony about the sentencing of Sean Combs.
Brian Buckmeyer, thank you. I want to go back to Aaron Katersky. Aaron, we know that sentencing hearing scheduled for the fall. Sean Diddy Combs has already been in custody for about 9 months now, and he's also facing dozens of civil lawsuits. What more does he have ahead of him before that hearing? We know, I think it's on October 3rd.
October 3rd at 10 a.m. is when Sean Combs is going to be sentenced for his conviction on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. Each of those counts carries a maximum penalty of up to 10 years. And so prosecutors pointed out in their letter to the judge his total exposure is 20 years in prison. And the judge today, Whit, said that Combs's propensity for violence was starkly depicted on that 2016 hotel security camera footage that may well factor into the judge's sentencing decisions. In the meantime, Sean Combs will continue to be incarcerated at MDC in Brooklyn, the federal jail in Brooklyn, where he's been since his arrest. This is at least the 3rd, possibly even the 4th time that bail has been denied, and he will have to fight those civil lawsuits, at least at the outset, from behind bars.
With Aaron Katersky, thank you, and the entire team. Again, the judge denying Sean Combs bail.
Thanks for being here, everyone. There's about 1,000 in the building. If every 1,000 person can hit the subscribe button, we're trying to hit 40K today. Please hit subscribe and thank you. We're trying to hit 40K. Thank you. Please subscribe and turn on your notification. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Following that split verdict earlier today when the jury acquitted him of the most serious charges of racketeering and conspiracy and sex trafficking, but the jury did find him guilty on those 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. We're going to return you in just a moment here to regular programming. Our coverage does continue on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. Also, a programming note, an ABC News special report, Verdict, the Diddy trial airs tonight at 10 Eastern right here.
Okay, so I got to bring you this news, you guys. This is Chris Cuomo. So he's really good. Let's hear what Chris has to say.
This case was more about the government and less a judgment about Sean Diddy Combs.
Thanks for subscribing.
And 4 women found that the government overreached. They made a federal crime out of Diddy's immoral lifestyle. He was convicted on 2 charges of paying for sex workers to cross state lines, which, by all lights, he did. He's guilty. But all this for that? A law originally from 1910 that was called the White Slave Act, that was really just about, the government kind of censoring relationships they didn't like. Not that human trafficking isn't real, but human trafficking implies what? That you're taking people who don't want to be taken and doing things to them that they don't want done. Okay? No one here said that they didn't want to go. They were adults as far as we know. So was it illegal? Federally, yes. Is it worth all this? The jury said, basically, no. This case proves that people don't buy what the government says anymore, and they're not wrong to feel that way. A guy just said to me on the subway, they painted Diddy like Gotti and got. Sure, New York City speaks, but it's a pretty accurate portrayal. The government wanted you to believe that Diddy...
There's about 784 in the building. If all 784 can please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you. Please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.
...was like John Gotti. That he was a one-man criminal organization. So they used the law for criminal organizations, RICO, to trump up the charges. Okay? And the jury rejected it, as well as rejecting the idea that Diddy was guilty of sex trafficking Cassie Ventura and another woman, the unnamed girlfriend, Jane. Now, I had a suspicion this was going to go this way, and not because I don't think that what Diddy was up to or about is wrong, is objectionable, is something I'd want to beat him up for. But it's because it clearly didn't meet the standards of the charges that the prosecutors were going for. Diddy is guilty of abusing Cassie physically, probably emotionally, and psychologically. And we all saw it. And clearly that was the root of this case for the feds. But it wasn't even a charge. They obviously had nothing else. So then the judge denies bail. Now, at least he had a basis, okay? Diddy didn't meet the burden for bail to this judge's satisfaction before the trial, so nothing had changed.
Were you guys surprised that the bail was denied? Let me know in the comments. Were you surprised that the bail was denied?
Then for him, I get it. But how often do guys get held on a prostitution charge? And after this many months, like 10 months in prison, Will this case be a turning point on lawfare? That's my question tonight. Again, for all the rumors about Diddy, we know what was proven, okay? Diddy assaulted Cassie Ventura, and we all saw it. The judge used that in his decision. The judge said that that video highlights a disregard for the rule of law and a propensity for violence. Fair, fair. But you're withholding bail for actions that were not part of the case against him. Think about that. Is that okay? Or are we confusing legality with a preference for a certain kind of morality? Is that the court of public opinion bleeding in to what our prosecutions become? Cases like this are part of why there is a growing distrust in government and institutions. 1 in 3 of us today trust the judicial system. 10 years ago, it was 2 in 3. And I believe a case like this, it doesn't matter how you feel about Diddy. It's easy to condemn him. You have the proof. But that doesn't make it a crime. Allegations are not enough. Show me the man, and I will find you the crime. You know what?
So do you blame the feds of how they wrote the charges? Did they fail themselves by writing the charges the way they wrote them? And did they fail by not putting certain people on the stand that worked with him alongside of the assistants? Did they fail themselves? Let's continue fair use. Please subscribe, you guys. There's about 600 in the building. If I can please get all 600 to subscribe. We're almost at 40K. We're trying to hit 40K this week. Thank you.
That came from a Russian intel chief. That's for them, that standard. It should not be the American way. I said this case was weak, just like the New York cases against President Trump, just like the indictment of Mayor Adams. Not because I like any or all of them, or because I am
Was the case weak? Yes or no?
okay with what any of them actually did, but because behavior is not enough. A crime should mean something serious and should be proven, okay? That's what America is about. It's not what this case was about. Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
That is from News Nation. Okay, let's continue with the rest of the charges and what that means.
And I'll be back with our entire team for a full wrap-up on World News Tonight. I'm Wade Johnson in New York. Have a great day.
ABC, let's continue.
This has been a special...
and the community as well. Now, as you pointed out, the judge said, quote, it is impossible for the defendant to demonstrate that he poses no danger to the community. And he cited his domestic violence that we saw in this trial over and over as part of the justification for his decision here. And he said that he had a propensity for violence. And remember, this is something that the defense did not deny in this trial. They agreed that Combs can be violent. They agreed that Combs can be abusive. You see the images of that 2016 video on your screen there that has now become infamous. It was really a key part of this case. The jury saw it multiple times. It has been seen around the world on news coverage and social media as well. So at this point, Combs will go back to MDC Brooklyn. That's where he's been held since September of last year when he was arrested by federal authorities. So he will be going back there until his sentencing date, which we have now learned is scheduled for October 3rd at 10 a.m., Alex.
Thank you for that, Rena. I want to go to ABC News contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. And Brian, we're learning that as the judge made his ruling here denying Diddy's release, Combs he appeared to look at his lawyers. As the judge read that decision, his head was largely down, though he did whisper to one of his attorneys. And that's a stark difference from how he came into the courthouse, smiling and greeting supporters. But I'm curious, in your professional expertise, does this decision, does it surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. In fact, I assumed that this judge would deny any request for bail. And I think, and again, I'm not at the table, but I understand, I know some of these defense attorneys, what probably happened was, like what we all do as defense attorneys, we tell our clients, this is how we hope it goes. If it goes in our favor, then you're going to walk out. If it doesn't go in our favor, then here are the plans that we can try to make this work. And what I think Sean Combs is probably whispering to his attorneys and what they're listening to is, what's next? And what's possibly next for Sean Combs is what's called a writ of habeas corpus, where the defense will file a writ to go to a higher court, potentially the Second Circuit, and say that this judge erred in not providing bail for Sean Combs. I would not be surprised if the document is not being drafted now or shortly tomorrow morning, that they request to go to a higher court to try to get another bite of the apple for trying to release Sean Combs. It's the 4th of July weekend, so it might be difficult, but maybe Monday or Tuesday they'll try to set something up in the near future.
Well, and I want to go to ABC News contributor, legal contributor, and criminal defense attorney Bernardo Villalona. Bernardo, we're just getting this new note from the district judge in this case. He did not weigh in on Combs' future sentencing, but did note that there is a wide divide, he said, between what the prosecution and defense attorneys have suggested for a sentence. Can you break down to us what is his exposure looking like here, and what are some of the guidelines there?
Yeah, so one thing that is definitely definite in terms that both sides do agree is that the maximum sentence as to each count is 10 years and that it can run consecutive up to 20 years. However, there's something that's called the criminal sentencing guideline recommendation. And in those recommendations, in that guideline, it takes into account the transportation to engage in prostitution, the acts that took place, how many of them took place, how did it take place, and who was involved in those acts. And for each of those items that were taken into consideration, points are assigned to them. So depending on how many...
Thanks for being here, everyone. Please subscribe to the page. There's about 450 in the building. Please subscribe to the page. We're trying to hit 40K. If all 450 subscribe, we should hit 40K, hopefully this week. Thank you. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Let's get the likes to 200. Thank you.
Points are assigned to each of those acts, that would determine the range, the sentencing guideline range that Sean Combs could face. Look, in the end, the Department of Probation is going to do their independent calculation as to what the guidelines are, and the judge is going to take his cue from the Department of Probation. And ultimately, at the time of sentencing, there will be a hearing to determine what are those guidelines. And if there's any case where the guidelines make a difference, it's going to be this case, for the reason being that there's no mandatory minimum. And I am sure that Judge Subramanian is not going to look to go.
This is my page. I can run my page however I need to run my page. You are supposed to ask for likes, for subscribers. You go run your page. How your page doing? We had 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers. Now we're almost at 40K. I'm proud of myself. Men, women, sometimes people don't want to pat you on the back. Go on your page. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
Below the guidelines in handing out a sentence to Sean Combs, because this is not your typical transportation to engage in prostitution. Prime example, when the prosecution put up a picture of 27 men that were hired to engage in sexual acts with either Jane or Cassie, or sometimes with the both of them sharing the same men at different occasions.
27?
Well, and Bernardo, one other thing that we're seeing from one of Diddy's attorneys, they're asking for him to be sentenced as soon as possible. Why is that?
Because they believe in their mind that Sean Combs would be eligible for a lesser sentence, that the judge will give him a lesser sentence than whatever the guidelines recommend. And it is in the prerogative of the judge to give a below guideline sentence, which could equal out to Sean Combs being released as soon as the date of sentence. So that's why they are asking for an immediate sentencing date. But what's going to be the bump in the road is how long the Department of Probation takes in interviewing Sean Combs and conducting their independent investigation for this pre-sentence report. This pre-sentence report is not going to be 2 or 3 pages. We are talking about over 10 or 20 pages that this report is going to encompass. That's going to take into account the life of Sean Combs from when he was born up until the day of sentencing, his actions in custody, what he has been done or even accused of doing, his prior bad acts, interviews with family members, interviews with other people, interviews with the victims of this case. All of that is going to be encompassed into this report that ultimately will be a recommendation for this judge to make the ultimate decision as to what should be the sentence in determining deterrence, accountability, and rehabilitation for Sean Combs for these 2 acts that he's been found guilty of.
Oh, Bernardo, I appreciate that breakdown, and if you're able to, I'd love for you to stick around. But I want to go to jury consultant Ross Suter, who's with us right now. And Ross, listen, we talk about these 8 men and 4 women that held the fate of Sean Diddy Combs' life in their hands, essentially. Something that was a point that was made earlier today in our coverage was that oftentimes, we look at the race or sex of a jury, but oftentimes, the more consequential question is the age in what we're looking for here in terms of sentences that are handed down. What do you make of where the jury stood with this verdict?
But I do believe that they had a pretty diverse jury pool. You could see that they, I think it was the prostitution claims in those issues were definitely clear to them, and they struggled a little bit more with the allegations of the more abstract legal concepts. But they have a very diverse jury makeup, different backgrounds, ethnicities, ages, and it's why it's difficult to read the tea leaves and to know what a jury panel is going to do.
So we're about to listen to the press conference that happened yesterday after the judge denied his bail.
Case.
Tonight, Sean Diddy Combs' legal team celebrating outside the New York federal courthouse. Just hours earlier, Combs stunned by the jury's decision.
After the judge had left the bench, Sean Combs fell to his knees in prayer. He addressed his family saying, "I'm coming home, baby. I'm coming home."
I actually cried when he did that because I know him and I know how he felt at that moment, knowing that 12 people had your life in their hands and he's gave you back your life.
Combs, once one of the most powerful names in entertainment, now a convicted felon and still behind bars tonight. A judge denying him bail, but the mogul beating the 3 most serious charges against him.
Sean Combs was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. What does that mean?
Hold on, let me give you guys a better sound. Give me 1 second. Like the video, there's about 300.
Just hours earlier, Combs stunned.
There's about 300 in the building. If I can please get 300 to please subscribe and thank you. Continue to hit the like button, you guys, while I'm getting this ready. Don't forget to subscribe as I'm getting this ready. Don't forget to hit the like as I'm getting this ready. Let's get the likes to 100. Please double tap that screen. If you're watching from a phone, double tap that screen. Let's continue.
Knees in prayer. He addressed his family saying, "I'm coming home, baby. I'm coming home."
I actually cried when he did that because I know him and I know how he felt at that moment, knowing that 12 people had your life in their hands and he's gave you back your life.
Combs, once one of the most powerful names in entertainment, now a convicted felon and still behind bars tonight. A judge denying him bail, but the mogul beating the 3 most serious charges against him.
Sean Combs was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. What does that mean? That means that he paid an escort, an entertainer, to engage in sexual acts with each of those victims, Cassie as well as Jane, and that he did it across state lines.
The jury acquitting him for racketeering conspiracy and 2 sex trafficking charges.
He won in the sense that he is not facing a lifetime sentence.
ABC News exclusive video shows Combs' sons, Christian and Justin, celebrating the jury's decision. Just after.
Let's continue.
Speaking to my Nightline co-anchor, Juju Chang.
Combs' supporters, his family, have been celebrating today. They see this as something of a victory. How do you see it?
The way he leads his life, even the things that he's admitted to, the things that we've seen with our own eyes of him beating a helpless woman, kicking her while she's on the floor, isn't the sort of person who is a role model to their family. And, I do hope he gets the help that he needs, but I sort of think that that's probably not going to happen. He'll feel emboldened by this.
Well, Combs is not coming home just yet. The verdict represents a stunning fall from grace for the hip-hop mogul turned entrepreneur. He had hits going back decades like "I'll Be Missing You." Who accused him of using his staff to arrange travel for individuals to engage in paid sexual encounters. Combs vehemently denied all charges. A jury of New Yorkers, 8 men and 4 women, deliberating for about a dozen hours, initially unable to reach a verdict Tuesday on the first count of racketeering, then returning this morning before reaching their decision.
RICO is the agreement between 2 or more people to effectuate a crime through an enterprise. Sean Combs was the only person charged. There was no one to actually say this was a criminal enterprise, and that might not have been enough for the jury.
Cracks in Combs' glamorous persona first surfaced when his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a civil lawsuit against him in late 2023, which he settled.
Do you guys think that the feds did a great job presenting the case, or did they drop the ball?
Which he settled.
Did the feds do a great job presenting the case, or did they drop the ball and the jury just made a decision and people have to deal with it? Or do you think that the jury just wanted to get home for the holidays? Let me know in the comments.
Next day, paying Ventura $20 million, no admission of wrongdoing. 6 months later, this shocking video from a hotel surveillance camera depicting Combs physically assaulting Cassie. Though Combs first denied any wrongdoing, after the video's release, he spoke out on social media.
I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
But that hotel footage became crucial evidence at trial, along with Cassie's 4 days of emotional testimony. Combs' ex-girlfriend describing in detail his alleged physical assaults, threats, and incidents known as freak-offs. She said Combs first proposed the encounters that he called voyeurism, when he would watch me have intercourse and sexual activity with a third party, specifically another man, within the first year of their relationship. Cassie testifying she continued to participate in freak-offs during their relationship. I knew it wasn't something I wanted to be doing, but I was in love and wanting to make him happy. I didn't feel like I had much of a choice. Didn't really know what no could turn into. Cassie telling the court the encounters became weekly events, Combs often recording them.
The jury saw anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes worth of freak-offs throughout the entirety of this trial. As you watch the jurors, you can see them react.
That's
They
gross.
crossed arms. They seemed clearly uncomfortable.
Defense attorneys portray Cassie as a willing participant in a consensual relationship, presenting text messages that seemingly show Cassie at times initiating the freak-offs. At one point texting, "freak off with a girl?" Combs responding, "What makes you want to do that?"
Of the 12 jurors, half of them, their ages ranging from 51 to 74. And when it comes to understanding consent, there are very different points of view.
Did y'all catch that? She was saying, well, what about a girl? And he was like, well, what would make you want to do that? Fair use reaction clip. Y'all caught that T, right?
You're talking about someone over 50, 30 to 40, and under 30. And I think that had a great impact on how this jury deliberated and came to their conclusion.
Also key to the government's case against Combs, the testimony of another former girlfriend who went by the pseudonym Jane. Over several days on the stand, Jane tearfully described her tumultuous 3-year relationship with Combs, which began in 2021 and ended when he got arrested in 2024.
You gotta believe what you want. It's the last time you go and cursing at me, disrespecting me.
Jurors hearing his own words, this voice note entered into evidence by the prosecution, sent to Jane by Combs.
You're straight flipping out on me, and I told you that you had one more time to do this. You're nuts. So be sad, go crazy, do whatever you want to do. Okay, I don't deserve you.
The defense pushing back on Jane, pointing out that she benefited from Combs' financial support. I hope she's having a nice day, but you know where she's doing it? In a house he's paying for. Mark Agnifilo, one of Combs' defense attorney.
Were you guys surprised to find out that Diddy was paying her rent and allegedly while he was in jail, still paying Jane's rent? Were you surprised about that? Like the video, like the video. Let's get the likes to 100, you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys, and thank you.
Delivered a theatrical closing argument, digging into the testimony by Cassie Ventura, painting a portrait of a, quote, great modern love story, of an intense, loving relationship that had its ups and downs.
Well, you don't have to be here. Y'all just don't know. I don't have time for stuff today. I'm here bringing y'all the tea. Please like the video and thank you. Please subscribe and thank you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Cassie wanted to do this, he argued. This is how they're close. Later saying, she's a woman who actually likes sex. Good for her. She's beautiful. She should.
I personally found calling the 10-year relationship that they had where he beat her, where he had male sex workers urinate on her,
He had
her participate in these freak-offs for multiple days with UTIs, calling that a modern-day relationship.
Were you surprised that the attorneys stated that their love affair was a modern day relationship? No, that's not. That's unacceptable. There are victims out there that suffer day in and day out of what they experience in relationship. That's not a modern day relationship. It's not. It's unacceptable to even say that, because you better believe those attorneys would not want him dating any of their family members. Real talk. You got to be careful with people's mamas. You got to be careful with people's daughters. You got to be careful with people's nieces. Real talk. You got to be careful with people's children and family, because you would not want certain situations happening to you like that. It would be unacceptable, right? You got to protect your family members, period. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Many people were surprised. They were saying it's unacceptable for them to say this is a modern day love story, modern day relationship.
I think is really an affront. Just because he wasn't convicted of sex trafficking doesn't mean that the jury disbelieved her.
Wick Doris says he thinks prosecutors did their job in this case and says
the whole relationship was toxic. The employees, what they dealt with was toxic. These people were on substances. Some of these people, rents were getting paid. When people are on substances, they're not thinking straight. Let's be very clear about that. People that are on substances are not thinking clearly. If you're not on a substance, you know a little bit right from wrong. What'd you say? What'd you do? You're on substances and he allegedly is doing X, Y, and Z, and these women rent are getting paid. These women went through a lot. And now think about it. Have y'all heard anything about Cassie and her husband? No. She's happy. She married. That dude stayed. He probably even heard some of the stuff that Cassie was going through. And he was probably like, let me get this girl out of here. She's too gorgeous. Because you know how guys like to talk. Remember how he's like, Cassie, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And then Diddy was like, see how I got her under control? And one of the girls was like, you wouldn't be doing me like that. One of the girls spoke up. Mothers, teach your daughters different. No man should be disrespecting any woman. Some of these women were on substances along with him. Toxic, toxic, and more toxic. What the employees went through, toxic as well. So concerning. Think about it. A lot of us work. Would you want your boss asking you to take a substance just to prove your loyalty? You got me all the way messed up. I'm not taking that. You're not getting me hooked on something. Excuse me? And people sometimes, if something is in your system, they go make you get tested. You can get fired. Huh? Bosses asking the employees to stay up for days, not getting sleep for 2 or 3 days. Him asking her to sleep around with several men for days. Some women don't even want their man around them, touching them for an hour. Get off me. She was on substances. Time she tried to leave, he was calling for her back. She never should have went back. The first issue, the first time, no. Leave me alone. Something not right with you. But a lot of people went through a lot of concerning things, period. There's work code. There's employee handbook situations. There's HR. There's unions. Why are people thinking that he should not have followed general HR rules, general union rules? Period. When you look at the scope of a relationship, it should be healthy, kind, respectful, loving. No man should be calling his mama saying, I'm about to release the tape on your daughter. Pay me 20. And you got to go take out a loan? What? Y'all would flip out if y'all boss asked y'all to be staying up for 3 days. 3 days? I got to get home to my man. I got to get home to my kids. I'm not staying up for no 3 days. I'm not staying up for 4 days. I'm not staying up for 5 days. Oops, gotta go. Gotta find me another job. I remember one time my friend, he quit on his lunch break. I said, why you calling me now? What you doing? I quit on my lunch break. I ain't going back. Oh, okay, what's up? You good? Yeah, they was talking crazy. Some places will have you work 12 hours, but having you work for days. Asking your girl, who you say you care about, asking her to sleep with man after man and no protection? That's some dirty work. You don't know who those people were with prior to you that night. Disgusting and gross is what it is. Sleeping through, having entanglement through not feeling well, having sores. The woman time of, I saw a video of a man talking about the lights were low. He knew something felt interesting and it felt weird. The lights got turned on. He saw red. What are you doing? And think about it. You can spread stuff if there's red stuff. I have to be careful what I say. You can spread stuff if you see red stuff. You're on the red and you're sleeping with me. That guy said, and there's an interview out there. I meant to post it, but he talking, but there's red stuff. He said that light came on. He was flipping out. It took Diddy to calm that man down. They said Cassie was like, I'm sorry. And then they gave him a little money. And then allegedly Diddy called him the next day. I'm sorry. He had her doing all kinds of stuff on, off the monthly. Gross. They were into some gross, toxic stuff. Sad, but true. What man do you know go watch their woman in this type of situation? And then after they're done, he want to play in the sloppy seconds. Rub it on me. Excuse me. Gross. Don't touch me with some. What are we saying here, y'all? What are we saying here? You with your man, you get the cloth, warm cloth, wipe me down, get in the shower, let's get in the shower. That's what most of us do. But he want to play in the sloppy seconds? What are we talking about? And then Cassie said, well, what about a girl? He was like, why would you want to do that? Some men, I don't know what men want. Some men get excited when it's man, woman. Some men get excited when it's man, a man sleeping with your girl. He didn't love her. And I guess she didn't see it. He didn't care about her feelings. He didn't care about her. And then allegedly, she got to be locked into a hotel until she heals from her bruises. And she can't come out that hotel until she healed from them bruises. You got me all the way messed up. Wrong one. Wrong one. Nope. A lot of us got too many people that's going to pull up. Where's she at? We ain't leaving until we find her. Just like, remember how one of the girls was like, they was locked in the car, didn't have proper clothes on, and it was cold, and the daddy pulled up. Where my daughter at? Where my daughter at? You got me messed up about my daughter. Where my daughter at? We don't play that. A lot of us got, and see, some women, be careful praying for victims, because some of this stuff is triggering for victims. Praying for victims. Some of them are a bad situation. The man, the woman is controlling the money. The man can't leave. The woman can't leave. There's control there. Oh, you trying to save up for something? What you trying to save up for? Oh, you want to go to your sisters? What you want to go to your sisters for? Control. It's sad. The mind games. The blame game. Blaming you. Well, you looked at me wrong. What? I said hello. You didn't cook me my right meal. Remember how somebody got on the stand and said Cassie was taking too long making breakfast? And she almost got hit? The control, the mind games, the manipulation. Some men or women are narcissistic people. They want to control what you do, who your friends are, who you talk to. Let me see your phone code password. Get out. Don't stay in that foolishness. You should be able to trust your partner. And this is what a lot of my friends, I remember growing up, and I remember my friends saying, if you cheat, go your way. Don't play with me in these streets and may have me looking stupid. No, babe, I'd never do nothing like that to you. You want to cheat, leave me alone. Go do you. You are not going to make me look stupid in these streets. Because a lot of relationships, they be trying to work together, paying bills together, having kids together. All right, honey, you got the laundry? Yes. All right, babe, you gonna cook tonight? Yes. You got, what we doing this weekend? Let's go to the family, holiday event. Okay. Yeah, babe. Let's go do all this family stuff. And then you want to sleep with the neighbors. So there's a lot. As we see, the jurors made a decision, whether they're right, wrong, and indifferent. The jurors made a decision. And a lot of us are saying, what? But a lot of people said they saw the messages from these women. Hello, love you, miss you. Happy birthday, happy holidays. Some of the workers, hello. Thanks for working with me. It's been great. Thanks for teaching me stuff. No, I'd be like, no, I don't like how you have me up for days. No, thank you. I'm quitting. Some people see the limelight. Hollywood. You got to be careful. Not all money's good money. Not all relationships are good relationships. If you are comfortable, sad, and feeling lonely, and they're disrespecting you, and they're playing mind games, well, babe, it should take you 30 minutes to get home. Why did it take you 35? What? I hit 3 traffic lights? You know what I'm saying? Don't let people play games with you. Oh, why don't you want to answer that phone call? Because it looked like spam. It looks like a telemarketer. What? Call the number back. You'll find out it's not. I'm not lying. Be with somebody you're comfortable with. Don't be with somebody, no joker. Don't let nobody play mind games. Who you wish should love you, appreciate you, and not disrespect you when y'all together or in front of people. If you're in a bad situation, get out. Save some money and get out. You can't show everybody. You cannot show everybody where your family and friends live. Real talk. You can't show everybody where your family and friends live. Because if you got to get out, some people, it's unfortunate. Some people seem fine in the beginning of the relationship. And then all of a sudden, there's a tick. They lost their job, a family member passes, something is making them sad. So some people do go through things, men, women, whatever. But when the respect factor is out of the relationship, you need to get out. Find a plan, talk with a girlfriend, talk with the family members. This is what I'm planning on doing. Make sure the kids are good. And it's sad that, let me tell y'all something. Ooh. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine was telling me a friend was getting a divorce. And the attorney told her, make sure you go away for a week or two. Why? We're finding that some of these men are mad that they have to pay the alimony and they've taken their spouses out. Be careful. Attorneys are actually telling clients that. If they see during the divorce deliberation, some of these spouses are not acting normal. They're not. They're not acting normal. They don't want to pay the alimony. They don't want to pay the spousal support. They don't want to pay the child support. And if your attorney is telling you to be ghosted and be gone for a week or two, don't respond, don't answer, do just that. She said that the woman didn't listen, and guess what? Gone. The woman didn't listen to your attorney. The woman's no longer here. The man lost it in regards to sending out that first alimony. Be careful, everybody. There's a lot of people that's not well. There's a lot of people that like to push your buttons, and they know how to push your buttons. Think about it in a court case. Diddy was writing messages back and forth. This is the question you ask. This is how you get up under her skin. This is how you get her to lose it. Remember how they made the people on the stand look like they're the ones that's been in jail? Remember how they made the people look on the stand like they were the ones that did wrong? And the people testified and thinking they're cool. Well, if I'm going to get immunity, I just got to tell you, never get on that stand and lie. Cassie did a pretty good job saying, nope, I texted him that. Nope, I said that. Nope, I felt that. Nope, I still had love for him. Be careful in your messages. If somebody disrespects you, make sure that message is known. I am somebody's daughter. I am somebody's niece. I am somebody's son. I'm not going to put up with no disrespect. I could love you and be happy, but I could be gone if you're not respecting me. You know what I'm saying? So check on your mothers. Check on your nieces. Check on your nephews. Check on your sons. You good? You good? I had one friend, mama stepped in. He like, Mom, you gotta you can't be in between me and my girl. What? She was like, you my child. They have to leave. No, that's my girl. We good. Nope. She gotta leave. She stepped right in between. We just conversating, Ma. Nah, it sounds a little too loud. She gotta go. Because what's gonna happen, I'm gonna keep an eye on you. So if the popos is called, I told her ass to leave. Some parents have to step in between they child and a girlfriend. Some parents have to step in between a child and a husband and wife. Men should not be putting their hands on women. Women should not be putting their hands on a man. Disrespecting him, calling him names. A man disrespecting her, calling her names. When you gonna lose that weight? Man, the girls at work look good. All right. Let me make a plan, because he might already be cheating on the lunch break. You need to do your hair better. Man, the girls at work, they pants be fitting, they outfits be nice. Okay. Women treat men a certain way. You're not going to pay these bills? I'm tired of working. I'm tired of being the head of household. You need to get off that game and find a job. So there's a lot of stuff that relationships go through, men and women. Respect each other's in your relationship, but make sure a person know you cheat, you lie, you disrespect me in these streets, I'm gone. I'm out. Don't allow somebody put you on substances either. It took a while, allegedly, for Cassie to get off those substances. And allegedly, they both had to go to rehab. Remember how he said in his apology he went to rehab? So be careful in relationships, y'all. Be careful. I'm going to finish playing this.
Possible doubt bar is very high.
Do you think the jury got it right?
No, but I think that our justice system isn't perfect, unfortunately. I respect the decision. The facts honestly supported convictions on the sex trafficking and the RICO claims.
Whitdore joined prosecutors in asking for Diddy's bail to be denied.
Well, we think that he poses a significant threat still if he's released. He continued to do what he was doing with Jane. And, that was while he was being watched by the federal government.
Combs is still facing numerous civil lawsuits, including one from Don Richard, a former member of the group Danity Kane, which Diddy founded. Don also testified at his trial.
I think it's a very heartbreaking day for his accusers.
Attorney Lisa Bloom represents her and another male accuser.
They're afraid of Mr. Combs, just like so many victims who testified in the trial about his propensity for violence and his many threats. My clients are afraid of some kind of retribution.
Despite that, she says both her clients are resolved to fight on.
In the civil case, we have different facts, different law, and a lower standard of proof. So I think once the news of this day sinks in, people will get stronger. They'll find their courage.
Combs is expected back in court for his sentencing in the coming months.
He looked disappointed and frustrated, frankly, when the judge refused to release him prior to sentencing and saying that Combs represents a danger to the community.
While the charges carry a maximum of 20 years in prison, he'll likely face less time.
Absolutely not the last thing you're going to see of Sean Combs. Absolutely not. Actually, you're going to see more of him.
So do you think people will see more of him? Do you think Kanye stepped in because remember how Diddy was asking for a mistrial? Do you think Kanye was stepping in and thinking that he was going to get that mistrial? And he wanted to be like, look, man, I'm helping your son. I'm here. I got your back. Nobody did. And some will say some of those celebrities' names might have been on that list to be called to take the stand. How do y'all feel? Did the feds do a good job? Did he really beat the feds? Or if each one carries 5 to 10 years and there's 2 different counts, will he get 20 years or will he get less? Some will say possibly less. Some are saying possibly less than 5. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But how are y'all feeling in regards to what's expected? There's going to be a court hearing in regards to October. They're asking for that date to be moved up. Will the judge do each in regards to the 10, or will he combine them and make it only 10? Because I don't think y'all realize they were stating that in the courthouse, the family didn't realize what those, because remember, 3 not guilty charges, 2 guilty charges. The family didn't understand what those 2 charges and what they hold and how many years those hold. So the family looked surprised when they were like, well, do y'all understand that each one of those counts is 10 years? They were like, hold up, wait, what? I don't think they told the family until the verdict was read. And then they're kind of going through, well, you understand these hold a good 10 years each. They were like, wait. But he didn't get a life sentence, though. So the day before, remember how they said that Diddy was reacting? He must have knew, possibly, maybe. He did. He knew that they were having a hard time with charge 1, the RICO. He knew that they were having a hard time with that. And he was excited that they were having a hard time with that. Now, whether we agree, disagree, let me ask y'all this. Do you think if they would have tried to do the verdict last week outside of the holiday, what it would have been? Do you think that the family, maximum 10, do you think that they wish they would have did this last week versus trying to rush and do it for the holiday? I don't think they should have did it that way. Because, of course, people want to travel. People want to have time off. These jurors want time off before they got to go back to work that Monday or Tuesday. These people have regular lives. And to be paid possibly $50 to $60 a day, maybe they should have tried to say, nope, we're not going to rush it. We'll see everybody next week. We're not going to rush it. We'll see everybody next week. Maybe they shouldn't even put out that we're trying to finalize things by the 4th. And then remember, they didn't do a lot of witnesses. And then some of the witnesses was on the stand way longer than they should have. Some of that stuff was so repetitive on that stand. Constantly reading the text messages for days. People were over it. They dragged certain stuff. And then Diddy's side not calling witnesses. And other witnesses that were supposed to take the stand, some of that list was cut. They rushed certain stuff. They did. They did. Did the feds drop the ball? And are they kicking themselves in the butt? Because certain people that should have took that stand, who else do y'all think should have took that stand? Absolutely repetitive. It was ludicrous. Most people should have been on that stand 1 or 2 days. Anybody that was on the stand for 3 days, a lot of those questions were repetitive. And a lot of the questions were objections. Objection. And then you want people to just be like, yes, no. And I can't elaborate? No. Yes, no. No. I need to be able to elaborate. And sometimes they were getting mad with people that were elaborating because there were so many objections. Objection. Well, how did you feel? And what did you feel? And do you feel he treated you with respect? Did you feel fearful? Objection. Yes, I felt fearful. Yes, I should be able to say I felt fearful. I felt scared. A lot of objections. Are you about to sneeze? Objection. Are you about to smile? Objection. Are you about to be happy? Objection. Do you feel disrespected? Objection. So anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed the show. I was praying for the victims, praying for his children, because he's older. But his children had to listen to things, and hear what the entanglements were. A lot of us don't even want to hear our parents kissed. Well, we get icky feelings just seeing our parents kiss or daddy tapping the mom on the butt. Stop. You know what I'm saying? These children had to sit in court day in and day out. Some of the children, day in and day out, hear what his entanglement was with these women, what transpired, and then employees having to clean up a mess. You got me all the way messed up. If you think you my boss and I'm about to clean up your juices, no thank you, sir or ma'am. Next job. Cleaning up juices. And oil. And a lot of them said they had to wear gloves. Yes, juices. You want me to do what? After you done stunk up the room and you don't seem like you know how to get in the shower, and then you want to play in the sloppy seconds, and I see that it went from sloppy seconds bedroom to sloppy seconds chair. What? You want me to clean up what? You want me to, and then the employees, the employees were probably happy when he was gone for 2 to 3 days. But then they had to be grossed out by cleaning it up. Oh, he won't really be bothering me. But then they say he was calling. We need more baby oil. More baby oil. Get it in here. They ain't oiled up enough. And then the rooms would be so messed up with oil and juices. Some of the rooms had to have a deep clean because of the juices. You said you dying? Yeah, I've had a long day. Baby, let me tell you, I didn't think I had it in me to even make a 5-minute video. So for me to be on here 1:15, I didn't think I had it in me to make a 5-minute video. I'm telling you, I was tired. I had a long, long day. I didn't even eat until several hours later because I had some business to take care of. And I've been a good Christian woman for 30 days. But the street woman came out of me today. You got me all the way messed up. You better do what you need to do. You don't want my family coming up here. You got me. This is nice. I had to come straight on people today. I'm such a good person. 30 days, I was so kind, so respectful. Taking time out. I got straight today. Yup. And guess what? The bill was free. You got me all the way messed up. You getting $300 out of me. I already gave you 3. I already gave you 4. You ain't getting no more money out of me. Yeah, I got street today. And I will always do that if I think you playing in my face. Yep. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, I'm something else. This side of me only comes out every now and then because I'm so serious, because this is a serious case. But this side only comes out every now and then when I'm tired or I'm about to go out and have a good time with my man, my boo, my bae. And you know, you guys, check on your friends, check on your mama, check on your aunts, check on your nieces. Tell them don't be fooling with no jokers. Thank you for subscribing. That's so cute. Hey, yeah. So you guys, it's something. It's something how he treated the employees and the girlfriends and the mothers and Cassie's friends. Did y'all clock this tea too? Did y'all clock the tea that everybody that Cassie wanted to date or be with, they were named immediately, but then they kept it quiet in regards to that celebrity? Y'all catch that tea? They wanted to keep it anonymous of that celebrity. Certain names they didn't want to release them. Did y'all catch that tea? I clocked that. Anybody Cassie wanted to date or be around or leave him for somebody else? Baby, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I posted a short. I posted a short, y'all. I posted a short of Diddy and a guy that did an FO. Baby, he was fine. Cassie should have left Diddy for that dude. I posted a short about 5 or 6 o'clock this morning because I knew I was going to be gone most of the day, because I knew I had to have energy to deal with people that was going to play in my face today. Got them straightened out. Sure did. Walked away. I kept that $300 in my pocket. Real talk. Don't play with me. I posted a short of a dude that was talking about a FO situation, and I got little flowers over it. You'll see it. He was talking about a FO situation. That dude was so fine. My man ain't gonna mind. He cool. He fine too. All the way up, down, from head to toe. He was fine. It's too bad that he was one of the FOs. Cassie should have left Diddy for that. Some of these FO people, they didn't look all that hot. Some of them FO people didn't look all that hot. But the person that I did the short for, that he was talking about the FOs and what was expected or whatever, yeah, he was decent looking. But some of those pictures, I didn't really show the people in regards to the FOs, but I showed that one today, this morning, 5, 6 o'clock this morning. He was decent looking. No, you are BS. We're generally talking and we having a good old time. I'm exhausted. I'm just here conversating. I had to get this video out. If I am not getting this video out, I'm not a part of the algorithm. So stop playing with me. My page is doing good. I went from 3,000 to 4,000 subscribers 9 or 10 months ago, and now we almost at 40K. Stop playing with me. Go on your page. Do you? You ain't gonna tell me BS. We talk about women and victims and people in poor relationships. So anyway, I have to get some rest. It's been a long day. Victory, they didn't get my $300. Sometimes you got to say no. You got me messed up. But anyway, be kind in the comments. Everybody have a blessed day. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Were you guys surprised at the jurors? Did they want to get up out of there and enjoy their holiday? And they were just over it and hearing about juices. They said I'll be waiting on your next live. Yeah. I had to come live. I was like, I already did my shorts. My mind was like, stop playing. You don't go live, your algorithm is gonna be messed up. Today was pretty good. People might have been live earlier today. Yeah, I normally go live in the mornings. 10, 11, sometimes 12. But then I be like I get up early and then I sometimes go back to sleep. And then when I get up at 8 or 9, I'll be like, who picked this time? But then I'll be like, that's everything I want to talk about. Just go ahead and go live and get it out the way. And then sometimes I'll go live middle of the day, 1, 2. So normally 10, 11 or 1, 2, depending on. But I appreciate y'all. But yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying you can't wait till the next live. I appreciate that. Yeah, but be careful. Check on certain people that they're in this heat. Make sure they got plenty of water. check on the elderly, make sure they got air conditioning or fans that's working, or get them a battery fan. That way if the power go out, check on the elderly though, y'all. Yeah, we'll see what happens and what the judge decides in regards to the time. We're hearing that Diddy has to meet with several people before he goes in front of the judge anyway. So, of course, when all that happens, we'll follow that. But like I said, there's been a lot that happened at the courthouse, inside, outside. You know, YouTubers going back and forth, stuff, people cutting lines, people feeling not safe. They got to get bodyguards, people being called out as liars. A lot happened. I posted a lot of shorts this morning. People are being called out. Some people are saying that people feel jealous. Some people are like, they saw what Armand was doing and they wanted to do that same thing too. They saw how Armand was moving and they wanted to move it that way too. Some of the people weren't even there. It was Armand, it was Mims, it was Girl, Is That Legal? A lot of people were there, and then all of a sudden all the other YouTubers got there because they was like, oh my goodness, you're on Nancy Grace. Oh my goodness, you're on, this channel. Oh my goodness, you're on TMZ. I want to be on TMZ. So people followed. But then, they felt a way about Armand dancing in the streets. And he's like, that was taken out of context. He was basically like, I was happy that this case was over. So you got to be careful being around people. And you got to be careful how people try and portray you. And if you're enjoying yourself, enjoy yourself. You better sit down quickly. You're not going to tell me I can't enjoy myself. Armand was enjoying himself. And if you watch his page, that he's animated like that. He likes to have fun. He likes to make you laugh. Sometimes if I've had a long day, I'll sit there, listen to Armand, and I feel refreshed. And it's like, okay, let me go to Netflix. I done watch my Armand. He's had his highs and lows, but he's such a good content creator. But it just seems like every time he gets into a situation, something happened and people are trying to bring him down. So you got to watch your energy. So I feel bad because he did such a great job covering this trial. Armand did an amazing job. Mims did an amazing job. And I was shouting out Armand. I was shouting out Mims. And my page gets millions of views per month. So I am happy that a lot of the content creators boosted their game, boosted their YouTube page, got more subscribers, and they did the doggone thing. And there were some subscribers and YouTubers and news media, they had no drama, no issues. They did what they had to do, and they went home. And then some people are trying to play victim. What? If you thought it was dangerous, why are you there? I'm not going to be in a situation. People are like, why don't you go? What do I need to be there for when I can do it right here in the comfort of my home? Be next to my boo, my bae. I'm staying right here. I could be 2 hours and I wouldn't have gone. I get out a lot. I could have been 2 hours. I wouldn't have gone. I could have been in 1 hour. I wouldn't have gone. I'm happy for the people that went though. You keep quiet. I'm happy for the people that went. So kudos to all the YouTubers, people that have different pages. It's not just YouTubers. There's other people that do different pages outside of YouTube. And the reporters did a great job too. Some of the reporters were selling the pictures and making money from that. Some shirts were given out. Free shirts given out to people. Some people were distraction in the streets. Yeah, some people were the distraction in the streets. And we told y'all that there was going to be distractions. I didn't expect that. And then we had said, who's next? I didn't expect the Tyler Perry thing to come out that next night. So many different lawsuits have been presented. And it's allegations, but so much has happened last month. Cat Williams told us people are going to be exposed. People are going to be exposed. So I am so happy, so proud. I would rather get praise than down somebody. I don't do YouTube beefs. Baby, I told people I can't. My mouth and my tongue is so sharp. My mouth and my tongue is so sharp. Back in the day, I'd have people say, oh my goodness, they told me, you said leave you alone. They was dang there in the corner sucking their thumb. They's like, where does she... And I'm not a comedian, but it's just like, don't. I'm not the one. And I try and be respectful, kind, and I give kudos to ones that I feel that's doing a good job. If I ain't got nothing nice to say, I ain't gonna say it. So congratulations to the YouTubers that did a great job, to the reporters that did a great job. I like to get my content from the news. because I'm listening to the news anyway. And that's what I try and bring y'all. Recap review from the news. And I listen to some of my favorites, and I love listening to different law pages. Some of them are too technical, and it's like, I can't, girl. You up in the courtroom. I want a lawyer that's got a little zing to him, a little twang to him, a little funniness to him. That's the lawyers I got to listen to. So I appreciate y'all. I'm not like this all the time. I'm tired though. And everybody say, when you tired, watch out. And you can see it in my eyes. My eyes are dang near closed. I'm going to get some good rest today. Today was supposed to be a rest day. And I did not rest, but I'm going to get some rest. And you guys, are you guys traveling for the holidays, or are you staying home? Let me know in the comments. Are you traveling for the holidays, or are you staying home? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Yep. I'm still debating because I got to get some rest. I'm an early riser, work out early. You know, sometimes my body be like, come on, let's go. Are y'all staying, or y'all going out of town? Are y'all staying, or you going out of town? Whatever it is, be safe. Gas up. Make sure the car is ready for travel. Check the tires. Make sure you got insurance. The backup number to the insurance. You got a spare tire. Yeah, make sure you're good and safe. Yes, happy 4th, everyone. So let me do my disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Everyone, be blessed. Be kind. Be respectful. Have fun on the 4th. And be safe. Make sure if your man is putting on the fireworks show, make sure he's safe. Protect your boo. Have his back. Baby. Make sure you safe, baby, out there. I need you to come home safe. So a lot of times the guys get excited. They want to put on a good show. And make sure people are spaced out. Don't let your cars be near, your house be near. Be safe. Yes. Have a great time and eat some good food. Ooh, eat some good food. Enjoy that food. Ooh. And tell the people when you enjoy that food, make sure you tell them, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that food. Thank you. Thank you for preparing it. But if they look nasty, don't touch it. If the car's nasty, the hair is nasty, the outfit's nasty, don't touch it. Make sure you ask. Make sure you ask who made this. Or eat before you go. You got to know what you eating. Nowadays, nah, nope, not touching that. All right, y'all, I got to go. You can tell I'm tired. I will most likely have to go live later. 12, 1, or 2 tomorrow. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Be blessed. Be kind. Be safe. Check on your friends. Check on your mothers. Check on your niece. Make sure your family and your people around you that you love is good. Happy 4th, everyone. Goodbye. Be blessed.